She walked into court expecting millions. Her lawyers were confident. She was smiling. 30 minutes later, the judge awarded her one thing.
I knew she was going to leave me long before she ever said the word divorce. People think betrayal arrives like a storm, loud, violent, impossible to ignore. They're wrong. Betrayal arrives quietly. It sits across from you at the dinner table, smiles when the kids laugh, scrolls on a phone while pretending to listen. It doesn't scream. It disconnects. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm a father of two, and this is the story of how I lost my wife, but never lost my children. Our house used to feel alive, not because it was big, though it was, not because it was expensive, though it was worth millions. It felt alive because it was full. Laughter echoing down the hallway, toy cars under the couch, tiny socks that never stayed paired. Now it felt like a museum, clean, cold, silent. I would wake up before sunrise, sit at the kitchen island with my coffee, and listen. No footsteps, no humming, no warmth. Just the refrigerator, buzzing like it was the only thing still working. Evan was 6, old enough to notice when something is wrong, young enough to not know how to say it. Lily was 4. She didn't understand tension. She felt it. Children don't analyze silence. They absorb it. Every morning I tied Evan's shoelaces. Every morning Lily climbed onto my back like it was the most natural thing in the world. They were still happy, which meant someone in that house had to stay strong. So I did. Claire wasn't always like this. Before Lily was born, she used to touch my arm when she walked past me. She used to ask how my meetings went, not because she cared about the money, but because she cared about me. After Lily, something shifted. At first, I blamed exhaustion, then hormones, then stress. Then one night, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't tired. She was gone. Her phone became an extension of her body, face down, locked, guarded. She would smile at messages she never shared, laugh quietly, turn away when I entered the room. When I asked who she was texting, she didn't get angry. She got defensive. And defensiveness is confession wearing makeup. I never confronted her, not once. Men who panic lose control. Men who watch learn everything. I noticed how she dressed differently when she went out with friends, how she suddenly needed space, how she stopped using the word we. Everything became mine or yours, never ours. That's when I understood. She wasn't planning to leave me. She was planning to extract me. She thought I was just a businessman, someone obsessed with growth charts, revenue streams, quarterly projections. She forgot something important. I built my company from nothing. I understand systems. And marriage, when it breaks, becomes a system too. Assets, timing, leverage. So I did what I do best. I prepared. I called my attorney on a Tuesday morning. Not to file, not to threaten, to ask one question. If someone wanted to protect everything they built, what would they do before the storm? He didn't ask why. Smart lawyers never do. I transferred it all. Every property, every account, every share. $300 million worth of value. To my mother. Legally, cleanly, irreversibly. Not to hide wealth, to protect my children's future from someone who no longer saw them as the priority. I slept better that night than I had in months. It happened at dinner. The kids were there. Of course they were. Claire liked witnesses. She cleared her throat like she was about to announce a promotion. I want a divorce. No emotion, no hesitation. Just a business transaction. She didn't ask for custody. Not first. She asked for the house, the cars, the accounts, the investments. She listed them calmly, scrolling on her phone. Then she glanced at the kids and said, "We'll figure the rest out." That sentence broke something inside them. I saw it. Evan's jaw tightened. Lily moved closer to me. They didn't understand money, but they understood something far more important. Their mother didn't choose them. She chose things, and children never forget who chooses them last. I didn't argue. I didn't negotiate. I looked at her and said calmly, "Take it all." Her eyes widened. She expected a fight, tears, begging. Instead, she saw peace. That scared her more than anger ever could. Because I already won. She thought wealth was power. She didn't realize I had already removed it from the table. All she was fighting for now was an illusion. That night, she smiled more than I'd seen in years, texted constantly, probably her lawyers, probably someone else. I tucked my children into bed, read their favorite story, and realized something profound. I had lost a wife, but I had gained clarity.
I didn't stop her when she hired the lawyers. That part surprises people when they hear my story. They ask, "Did you try to talk her out of it? Didn't you warn her? Didn't you fight?" No. Because when someone shows you who they are, the worst thing you can do is interrupt them. I wanted to see how far she would go. Claire changed the moment I said, "Take it all." Not emotionally, energetically. She walked differently, spoke differently, smiled like someone who had already won. She started waking up early again, not for the kids, but for phone calls, legal consultations, strategy meetings, coffee dates that suddenly mattered. She became alive again, and that told me everything I needed to know. I've worked with attorneys my entire career. I know how they talk when they smell money. Claire hired 3, not because she needed 3, because she wanted to feel powerful. They told her what she wanted to hear, that she was entitled, that she deserved more, that the court would see the imbalance. They built a fantasy. She believed it. She thought the marriage was the battlefield. It wasn't. The battlefield was time, and I had already moved before she even realized there was a game. Once lawyers enter a marriage, the house stops being a home. It becomes territory. Claire took the master bedroom. I moved into the guest room, not because she asked, because I didn't want my children seeing conflict where they used to see safety. Every night I checked on them. Every night I promised myself, they will never feel abandoned. Evan asked first, "Dad, are you and Mom mad at each other?" I knelt down so we were eye level. "No, buddy. Sometimes adults realize they want different things." "What about us?" That question almost broke me. "You're not different things," I said. "You're everything." Lily didn't ask questions. She became quiet, stopped singing, stopped asking her mother to tuck her in. Children don't side with explanations. They side with consistency. And I was the only one who stayed consistent. Her first mistake was assuming children are too young to remember. They remember tone. They remember absence. They remember who listens. Claire stopped listening. She was too busy preparing to win a war she didn't understand. The first legal letter arrived on a Friday afternoon. Thick envelope, aggressive language, demands framed as expectations. They wanted everything listed in detail: properties, vehicles, accounts, future earnings. They even referenced assets I hadn't owned in years. I smiled, because that letter told me something important. They had no idea. I didn't respond immediately. Silence is a response, a powerful one. I waited, not days, weeks, letting her anxiety grow, letting her attorneys wonder why I wasn't panicking. People get careless when they think the other side is weak. She confronted me in the kitchen one morning. "You haven't responded." "I will." "When?" "When it matters." She scoffed. That scoff cost her everything. She didn't lower her voice. She never did when she felt superior. Evan stood frozen in the hallway. Lily covered her ears. I didn't raise my voice. I never did. Because calm is contagious, and so is chaos. I walked past Claire, knelt, held my children. That was the moment they stopped seeing her as the center, and she never noticed. My mother visited one afternoon. She didn't ask about the divorce. She played with the kids, fed them, listened. Later that night, she said one sentence: "She doesn't see them anymore." I nodded. She sees numbers. Her second mistake was arrogance. She started talking about the future like it was already decided. The new house she'd buy, the car she'd drive, the life she'd rebuild, all in front of the kids. She never once asked where they wanted to live, never once asked how they felt. And children notice what they are not asked. When I finally responded legally, it was brief, clean, professional. No emotion, no argument, just facts, the kind that don't care how loud you speak. That's when things changed. Her attorneys stopped smiling. Meetings got quieter. Emails became cautious. Questions replaced demands. They had discovered something, or rather, they had discovered nothing. She accused me of hiding assets, of manipulation, of deception. She screamed once in front of the kids. That scream was the final fracture. Evan didn't cry. He looked disappointed. That look stays with a parent forever. The children didn't announce their choice. They didn't need to. They stopped seeking her approval, stopped asking her for comfort. They came to me for homework, for bedtime, for reassurance. That's how custody is really decided, long before court. The court date was set, weeks away. Claire thought delay was my weakness. It wasn't. Delay was my shield, because truth doesn't rush, lies do. There was one asset on the list she barely glanced at, a 1990 vehicle, old, forgotten, worth almost nothing. She laughed about it. Why is this even listed? I didn't answer. I never corrected her misunderstandings. That was her third mistake. The night before court, I tucked my children in. Evan asked, "Will we be okay?" "Yes." "Will Mom be okay?" I paused. "I hope she learns." Lily hugged me tightly. "I don't want to live without you. You never will." And I meant it. She thought the court would decide everything. She was wrong. The court only reveals what already exists. And what existed was a truth she was not ready to face.
There is a strange stillness in a courtroom. People imagine chaos, shouting lawyers, dramatic confessions, sudden breakdowns. In reality, it's quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that strips emotion naked and leaves only facts standing. That's what terrified her, and that's what saved me. I arrived early, not because I was nervous, because I wanted to watch. Claire came in 10 minutes later, dressed sharply, confident posture, perfect hair. She looked like someone walking into a victory lap. She didn't look at me, not once. That told me she still believed this was about us. It wasn't. It was about what could be proven. People ask why the kids weren't in court, because courtrooms are not places for children. They are places where adults learn consequences. My children didn't need to see that. They already knew who stayed. Her lawyers opened loudly, aggressively. They painted a picture, a woman who sacrificed her youth, a husband obsessed with money, a power imbalance. They spoke about fairness, about entitlement, about what she deserved. I noticed something important. They spoke a lot, but they showed very little. My lawyer didn't interrupt, didn't object, didn't react. He just listened, took notes, let them build a tower of words with no foundation. The higher it grew, the harder it would fall. They said my name like it was evidence itself. Daniel Mercer, CEO, majority shareholder, serial acquirer. They wanted the judge to feel intimidated by my success. But judges don't envy wealth. They respect order. Claire took the stand. She looked composed, prepared, rehearsed. She spoke about emotional neglect, about loneliness, about feeling invisible, and for a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then she made her mistake. She said, I supported him while he built everything. Built. Past tense. That single word did more damage than any document because it suggested ownership, and ownership requires proof. The judge asked one question. Mrs. Mercer, can you specify how you contributed to the acquisition or management of these assets? She hesitated. Just a second, but seconds matter. I raised our children. Silence. No one dismissed motherhood. But motherhood is not equity, and the judge knew that. When my turn came, it was quiet. I wasn't dramatic. I didn't speak about betrayal. I didn't mention pain. I spoke about timelines, structures, legal transfers. I spoke like someone explaining gravity, not negotiable. The first document appeared. Property deeds, all transferred, years ago, before the filing, before the confrontation, before she ever said the word divorce. Perfectly legal, perfectly documented. I watched her smile fade. Her lawyers shifted. They accused me of manipulation, of intent to defraud, of hiding assets. My lawyer stood. Can you point to a single asset currently in my client's name? They couldn't, because there wasn't one. The judge didn't look impressed. Judges don't care about intent. They care about ownership. And ownership was clear, painfully clear. Claire's confidence began to crack. She whispered urgently to her lawyers. They whispered back. Their voices lost rhythm. This wasn't the case they were promised. The car came up, almost as an afterthought. A 1990 vehicle, low value, still registered. Her lawyers smirked. At least we can agree on this asset. The judge nodded. Ownership confirmed. Awarded to Claire. She smiled. She thought it was symbolic, or consolation. She didn't realize it was the punchline. It happened slowly, too slowly. She flipped through documents, looked again, and again. She whispered, "Where is everything else?" No one answered, because there was nothing else. The ruling was short, precise, unemotional, the kind of ruling that changes lives quietly. Claire was awarded one vehicle, estimated value $1,000. That was it. No house, no accounts, no business, no future earnings, nothing. She didn't scream, she didn't cry. She just sat there, frozen, as if someone was waiting to say, "Just kidding." No one did. I felt nothing, and that surprised me. People expect rage, satisfaction, revenge. I felt peace, because justice, when it's clean, doesn't feel loud. It feels final. Outside the courtroom, she finally looked at me. Her eyes searched my face, for guilt, for regret, for mercy. I gave her honesty. "You chose this." She said nothing. Later, Evan asked, "Did Mom win?" I answered carefully, "No, the truth did." Lily hugged me. That was enough. The court decided assets. It didn't decide relationships. It didn't decide forgiveness. It didn't decide who the children would trust. That part was already decided.
Silence after a verdict is different from silence before one. Before, silence is tense, hopeful, suspended. After, it's heavy, final. It presses against your chest and asks a question no one wants to answer. What now? We walked out of the courthouse separately. No dramatic confrontation, no final words. She stood on the steps for a long time. I noticed because I passed by without stopping. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity. I had already given her all the attention I ever would. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I sat in my car, hands on the steering wheel, engine off, and for the first time since everything began, I let myself breathe. No plans, no strategies, no next move. Just air, just presence, just the knowledge that the storm was over. When I picked up Evan and Lily from my mother's house, they knew. They didn't ask questions, they didn't run ahead. They watched my face. Children don't listen to words first. They read posture, breathing, eyes. "Is it done?" Evan asked quietly. "Yes," I said, and something in him relaxed. That night, the house felt different. Not happier, not sadder. Clearer. Like a room after furniture has been removed. Empty, but honest. I made dinner. Simple. Pasta. We ate together. No phone at the table, no forced conversation, just the sound of forks and plates. And peace. Lily looked up suddenly. "Mommy won't live here anymore, right?" "No," I said. Okay. That was it. No tears, no tantrum. Acceptance. People think children need explanations. What they need is safety. Evan asked the question adults avoid. Did Mom choose us? I paused. Truth doesn't need to be cruel, but it must be accurate. She made choices, I said, and those choices had consequences. He nodded, like someone much older. She called the next morning. I let it ring, not to punish, to protect the quiet. She texted, "We need to talk." We didn't. 3 days later, she showed up. No warning, no lawyers, just her. Standing at the door like someone returning to a place that no longer recognized her. I opened it. The children froze. She smiled. They didn't. She reached for Lily. Lily stepped back. That tiny step said more than any court ruling. Claire noticed. Her face changed. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. Lily looked at me. Not her. Me. That's when Claire understood something irreversible had happened. "You left us," Evan said. She knelt in front of him. "No, sweetheart, You left us." Not angry, not loud, just factual, like a statement in court. She had no defense. She tried to explain herself. Stress, confusion, mistakes, how adults sometimes get lost. She talked for a long time. The children listened politely. And when she finished, they were still unmoved, because explanations don't erase patterns. Then she said one sentence, one careless sentence. "I thought your father would make things right." I saw it instantly. Both children stiffened. Because what she meant was,
I thought money would fix this, and children know when they are being priced. Evan stood between her and Lily. That wasn't something I taught him. That came from instinct, from loyalty, from choice. "I don't want you to talk about Dad like that," he said. She looked at me like I'd orchestrated it. I hadn't. This was all her. "Claire," I said calmly, "you should go." Her eyes filled with tears, not for the children, for herself. That was the final confirmation. The door closed gently. No slamming, no shouting, just a quiet click, the kind that ends chapters. She thought losing money was the punishment. It wasn't. Money recovers, pride recovers, image recovers, but trust does not, especially in children. That night, Evan asked, "Will Mom come back?" "No." "Will she be okay?" "I hope so." That was all I could offer, a lesson. A week later, my mother came by. She didn't gloat, didn't celebrate. She watched the kids, listened. Then she said quietly, "They're choosing." "Yes," I said. "They already did." Claire tried again, differently. She sent gifts, expensive ones, toys, clothes, a tablet. The children didn't touch them. Evan pushed the box away. "Tell her she doesn't want things," he said. "Tell her she wants time." I didn't need to translate. She asked for mediation. I agreed. Not for her, for closure. She cried, apologized, promised change, promised therapy, promised everything she had refused to promise before. The children listened. Then Lily whispered, "Can Daddy stay with us?" That question ended the meeting. After someone tries everything and still fails, they usually disappear. Claire did. No more texts, no more visits, no more gifts. Just absence. The kind that confirms everything. People asked if I was rebuilding my life. I wasn't. My life was intact. It had simply been cleared of noise. The business continued, quietly, efficiently. The house became warmer, not because of renovations, but because of honesty. Strength isn't winning. Strength is restraint. It's knowing when not to speak, when not to explain, when not to save someone from the consequences of their own decisions. Evan started smiling again. Lily sang. The house breathed. And every night when I tucked them in, I understood something profound. They didn't need a perfect mother. They needed a present father.
Time doesn't heal everything. That's a lie people tell when they don't know what else to say. Time doesn't heal. Time reveals. It reveals what was broken long before the damage became visible. It reveals what was real and what was convenient. And most importantly, it reveals what truly mattered and what never did. Life didn't dramatically improve after Claire disappeared. It didn't collapse either. It stabilized, which I learned is far more valuable than happiness. Happiness is loud. Stability is quiet. Every morning I woke up knowing what my day would look like. Breakfast with my kids, school drop-offs, work calls, homework at the dining table, bedtime stories. No surprises, no emotional landmines. Peace disguised as routine. I didn't buy new furniture, didn't paint walls, didn't change addresses. The house changed because the tension left. Lily started dancing in the living room again. Evan started leaving his shoes everywhere, a small rebellion I welcomed. Noise returned, mess returned, life returned, and I realized something that still makes me smile. Chaos created by children feels safer than silence created by adults. They stopped asking about their mother, not immediately, but gradually.
Questions faded. Curiosity dissolved. Not because they forgot her, but because they accepted the reality she chose. Children don't cling to absence forever. They adapt. They anchor themselves to whoever stays. Almost a year later, she sent one message, just one. I hope they're okay. I stared at it for a long time, not because I didn't know the answer, because I knew the weight of it. I replied with 6 words. They are safe, they are loved. I didn't mention myself. I didn't mention her. The truth required no embellishment. She never replied. From the outside, nothing changed. My company grew, deals closed, numbers climbed. People congratulated me on resilience. They assumed loss had hardened me. They were wrong. Loss clarified me. I stopped chasing growth for validation. I focused on sustainability, longevity, the same values I was teaching my children without ever saying the words. One night, while building something out of spare parts on the floor, Evan asked, "Dad, how did you know Mom was going to leave?" No bitterness, just curiosity. "I didn't know," I said. "I noticed." "What did you notice?" "That she stopped choosing us." He thought about that. "Will that ever happen to you?" "No," I said immediately, because I know what choosing looks like now. Lily learned love differently. She stopped equating love with gifts. She equated it with presence, with hands that held, with voices that listened. One night she whispered, "I like it when it's quiet and you're still here." That sentence alone was worth everything I lost. I stopped resenting her. Resentment is heavy, and I was done carrying weight that wasn't mine. Claire didn't destroy our family. She revealed its fault line. I stopped wishing she'd chosen differently, because wishing doesn't rewrite character, and forcing someone to stay never creates love. It creates performance. People still ask me about the car, the 1990 model, the one thing she won. They expect irony, sarcasm, mockery. But here's the truth. That car wasn't punishment. It was symbolism. She wanted everything that looked valuable. She ignored everything that was valuable. The court simply reflected that priority. She didn't lose money. She lost authority. Authority that comes from trust, from consistency, from being chosen by children who owe you nothing but instinct. You can rebuild wealth. You can rebuild image. But once children decide you are unsafe, that verdict is final. No appeal. It was an ordinary Sunday. No milestones, no celebrations, just pancakes, music playing softly. Lily spilled juice. Evan laughed instead of getting upset. And I realized, this is it. Not perfection, not revenge, not victory, just continuity. They don't know about the assets, the transfers, the strategy. They don't need to. Children don't need to know how close adults came to disaster. They need to know someone stood between them and it. That was my job, and I did it quietly. Love is not what you say when things are easy. It's what you protect when things become inconvenient. Claire wanted love that rewarded her. I chose love that required me. Only one of those survives pressure. I don't hate her. I don't miss her. I don't wish her harm. I wish her clarity. Because clarity is the only thing that prevents repetition. And repetition is how people destroy every second chance they're given. My children will grow up knowing one thing, that they were chosen, not because they were easy, not because they were perfect, but because they were priority.
That knowledge will shape every relationship they ever enter, and that is a legacy worth more than any empire. I didn't win in court. I didn't defeat my wife. I didn't outsmart anyone. I simply stayed. And staying, I learned, is the rarest form of strength.